morning. Good morning. Good morning, crew. Good to see all of you on this morning. Bit chilly this morning. Anyone getting blasted with the Arctic breeze? Crikey. Bit on the chilly side up here in the GC. Hopefully you're all good wherever you are. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat, folks. Wealth Coffee Chat. It's on this morning. Hey, good morning to Alison and Aaron and Brendan and Deb. Deb, we need to chat. I was flat out yesterday. I'll give you a call after this, Deb. Lee, hey, all the way from Tassie. Good to see you. Our first time tuning in. Welcome, whoever you are, behind the veil, probably in one of our groups. So thank you, first time tuning in. So fantastic, or tuning in live. Anyway, well, it's sometimes it's a bit challenging to catch it in the morning, but welcome. Christopher, haven't seen you online for a while. Hope you're well, mate. Kelly, good morning to you. Great to see all of you guys this morning. Quick overview. Well, quick intro. Most of you guys know this. My name's Jason Witten. If you didn't know, we do a little podcast / live every morning called Wealth Coffee Chats. Been doing it for a while. Have a cup of coffee at about 10 past 8 and talk a little bit about the world of property investing, ideas, experiences, opinions, pontifications, and we see if we can make some sense of this thing that we're doing as property investors. And each day, each week, we see if we can garnish and learn a little bit more than we knew yesterday, I suppose. Been property investing well over 20 years myself, and been helping a lot of property investors across Australia and New Zealand over the last 20 years, 20 plus years actually. There you go. Hey Jeff, out the back of Carnarvon Gorge. Oh, Carnarvon Gorge is a pretty cool place. I'm a bit of a rock climber. Jeff, Carnarvon Gorge is one of those places that I've visited a few times for climbing. It's actually quite nice out there. Beautiful place. Anyway, bit out in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? There you go. Hey, Luke and Anne, morning to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, yesterday I thought I would be able to go through 5 investment models that I've sort of refined and created over 20-odd years coaching well over 7,000 property investors across Australia and New Zealand. You know, trying to crunch a bit of a system, a plan that is teachable and consumable and understandable and not confusing into a process. I thought I could talk about that yesterday. The 5 plans in one go. I was sorely mistaken. So today we're going to do number 2 and probably number 3. And some of you guys have seen these before anyway, but it's not a bad little way to get a little reminder as we go along and have a look at these models, these plans, these processes that can maybe give us some insight into the structure, the why, the when, the how of what we're doing with investing in property. Certainly, it's very biased from my experience and my point of view. But what I can tell you is I've spoken to a lot of people, and it's it's pretty common, these conversations, but it's not so common to put them in a structure, a process, a way that's easily understood. So anyway, that's what we've been up to. Well, that's what I've been up to. That's what I'm going to share with you today, or continue to share with you today. The internet's a bit glitchy, but hopefully it's all fine. And let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's continue our little journey down our model system. Yesterday, you guys were with me yesterday. We did a little bit of this. We had a look at what's going on when it comes to our property wealth system and the process of investing and getting ourselves organized over a 5 to 15 year period. You know, decide what you want to do, understand what you're actually doing, you know, make sure you structure it properly, get a foundation in place, accelerate that wealth, put it on cruise control, and then, you know, you can exit, or you can, you know, double down, triple down, do exciting stuff. That was yesterday's overall big picture conversation that we had. And today I want to go into model number 2. Now, you guys have seen this, or many of you guys have seen this, the 3 stages of wealth. The process we go through as property investors, and let's talk about this in sort of relative terms. This is probably going to be from sort of age 18 to around the age of sort of 70 to 90, okay? 70 to 90 over that side of the fence. Now, for all of us, you know, depending on when we get started, when it comes to our wealth, time is the major factor, the major winner, the major magnifier of our wealth. Time is the one. The more time you spend owning good quality real estate, the better your wealth becomes. There's no debate about that. Can you accelerate it and stuff? Yes, you can, but that takes more money and requires risk. What we're talking about, what I've been coaching and teaching for well over 20 years, is the process of buying really good property and keeping it for a long time and minimizing the risk. Most people have got better things to do with their life than think about real estate all day, every day. You've got families, you've got hobbies, you've got businesses, you've got careers, you've got things, but real estate is a great place to park and magnify your wealth over the medium and long term. So let's have a little look at this idea of the 3 stages of wealth today and how it works. Many of you guys have seen me do this model before. So in the acquisition stage, this is the process, the time frame, the stage of really acquisition is a fancy way of saying you need to buy some properties. All right. Now, there's a very easy way. You can, Alison, for sure. You can. Absolutely. I've seen some great, amazing results for people starting over, restarting. And sometimes a restart from a really fresh... Yeah, well, Sonia, you and me are pretty well the same. I think there's a few hardcore all day, every day think about real estaters on today, I'm sure. But we're a strange bunch, aren't we? But, the idea that, when you're getting your acquisition phase organized, the behavior and the things you need to do are different to when you are in lifestyle or legacy phase. And I hear this all the time, I want really high positive cash flow in the acquisition stage. And I think that's flawed for most investors. If you're a very active investor, maybe, you're, trading and doing other things, then that's possible. Maybe if you've got a lot of cash and capital, maybe that's possible. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that part today. Strange, isn't even close. What we're talking about is the idea of in the acquisition phase, we have a limited amount of resources often that we need to deploy. What are the two resources that we need to maximize in the acquisition phase, team? Tell me right now in the chat if you know the two resources, the two main things we need to be able to get the most out of, squeeze the most out of when it comes to the acquisition phase, the beginning, the starting times of our property portfolio when we are going along. Hang on. Let's go back to, there you go. So while you're putting that in the chat, I'll refix this up. Right. So what are we doing here? This is about buying, okay? This is about buying our real estate. What is it? Time and money, yeah. Let's talk about the money, Luke. Let's talk about what it is. Number one, we have to be able to maximize, and let's talk about the money, Luke, maximize the assets, the cash or equity we have, right? And there's two things. There's the ability for us to service debt, okay? Serviceability, maximizing our lending capabilities, and our loan to value ratios, okay? So this is all about, in acquisitions, Rent and equity, yes, rent comes in, Chris, and adds to your servicing. So that's where rent comes in. For sure, if we look at this, how do we maximize our servicing? Our incomes need to be stable and high. That's our income, our job. And when you purchase property, your rents need to be positive cash flow. Okay? And that's a very simple conversation, but it's very accurate. Your income needs to be solid. I did this, so, I thought, I'd bought one investment property and I was now a legend, so I quit my job to become a full-time property investor. This was many years ago. How difficult is it to borrow money when you don't have a job? The lenders don't care that the property deal's awesome. They don't care. They don't care, folks. So anyway, don't do that. Don't do that. Have a job, a really good quality job in your acquisition phase, and maximize your loan-to-value ratio. So tell me in the chat right now, what is that? Yeah, lucky it worked out. Yeah, Shay had a job. I had a what were we saying last night, my love? I was the gold digger and you were the worker. Wasn't that right? Like, anyway. So, loan-to-value ratios. They need to be high. Borrowing at 80% will not get you there in the beginning, in the acquisition phase. Often, you need to be borrowing at a high, like the sugar mama. There you go. That was it, the sugar mama. In the beginning, we need a few things. Loan-to-value ratios, 88%. Now, tell me in the chat, why are we borrowing at 88% in there? And for all of us, we need to marry up. There you go. 88%. Now, I talk about 90% lending, not 80% lending as we go. But this is about the maximizing this process. Borrow as much as you can, spread your assets wide, and buy. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, lower LMI. That's right. Lender's mortgage insurance. When you hit 90%, lender's mortgage insurance gets a bit carried away. So 88%, right? Okay, so we need to make sure our income is up and we need to maximize our borrowing, team. Okay? Maximizing our borrowing means we're able to spread our value and our wealth across multiple properties and buy our properties faster in this process as we go along. All right, maximizes LMI. That is right, dead right. Lower deposit, less LMI, so less money into a deal, more gross value that you own. So if you buy two properties, you might own $1 million worth of real estate or $1.5 million worth of real estate, but your net value is still the same, like it's small, but your exposure to the market is much bigger, much bigger. You've got much more wealth exposure into the market. So if you get some growth, you get some more tax deductions, you get some rental increases. So at this point in time, you want to make sure you've got positive cash flow after tax. You want to make sure you are doing your PAYG variations, getting your tax back, maximizing your lending, and making sure you are able to maintain that property and increase its rentability, its value in the medium to long term. As we buy those properties, our values hopefully will increase like that over time. We talked about this before. This is a 15 to 20 year window, and along we go, right? So what we do want to understand is for some of us, the beginning, and now this is our capital growth trajectory, what we might have is a negative cash flow, or our debts, okay, might do those ones, okay? So we might have a gap over here, which might be negative pre-tax, and we need to either claim our taxes back or top it up a little bit. If it cost you $10,000 a year to invest in a really good quality blue chip real estate portfolio, then that's nothing to cry about in your soup, folks. Now, many of us can't afford that. That's why we buy the right properties that are positive cash flow after tax. Most of us got $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 we're giving away to the government every year. And we just get that back and use it to own real estate for the future. We create wealth with that in the future as we go. So, what we're looking for, team, is we're looking for when our gap between our debts and our value, and if we have a little look at this, our rental income as well, our rental income starts to incline or starts to increase. Yep, exactly, Luke. Right? Exactly. So we've got three things going on. We've got our capital appreciation going on, we've got our debt going on, and we've got our rental income going on, right? The more time we spend in the market, the more upward pressures over time we get. That's a function of ownership and time, like Luke said before, a bit of time and money. But in this consolidation phase, what do we do in the middle of this phase? Well, we want to make sure, and I call it, let's call it renovate or maintain your properties. Your properties might need to be freshened up in every 7 to 10 years, okay? Now, don't let your properties fall behind in market value. If your properties are now tired and unmaintained, they're going to drop. You're going to be $100 behind the regular market for rental income. And that you won't create wealth, you won't create lendability, you won't create debt reduction, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure you maintain your properties at a good standard. And we've talked about this in other sections or sessions about making sure you've got buffers set aside. You should be able to collect and keep that money set aside for many years to maintain that property. Listen, this idea of you making $5,000 a year on your property and then using it for something else, you don't do that. You don't do that. That money that property makes is for its future and for your future. You double down and triple down on its value. You double down and triple down on its maintenance. And you need to accumulate that yearly profit in your offset account or in the redraw facility for when you need to renovate and maintain your property, okay? So anyway, that's not what today's conversation is about, but I'll probably do a session on that one as well. So you need to renovate the property. Yes, you can start to debt reduce, but, we had Andy Fenton in the other day. We prefer to, is that recycle? Anyway. That's recycle, debt recycle. You can debt recycle, but which property are we looking to reduce our debts on because they're not deductible? Your principal place of residence. Don't reduce debt on your investment properties. No, that is not a smart move in any way, shape, or form if you still have debt on your principal place of residence, folks, okay, as we get to this section. Now, over here, when we're sort of at this end of town, the three stages of wealth, this is where the lifestyle and legacy comes in. This is where we have often a large gap of opportunity and value of wealth in our portfolio. Caught up with a client yesterday, folks. He's been a client since 2007, 6 or something like that. And he's got a great portfolio. He's got 11 properties. He's got a property portfolio worth $12 million. His debt is $4 million. And now we're rearranging where he's at, which is pretty cool, which is pretty exciting. He has $390,000, folks. Listen to this. This is why I sort of say, if you just follow the process and continue to do the thing. He's got $390,000 worth of rental income coming in every year with his properties right now. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I love that stuff. I love it. I love it when we see that stuff come together. Right. So over here, this is where it all gets exciting. There's plenty of equity. Sometimes the cash flow's low, and this is where we can talk about, accelerating and tuning up our income. But over here, this is where we start to understand the tax effectiveness and transform in your holding and your structures and your assets into high cash flow machines. We can do that with certain things like, equity arbitrage, the income engine, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, again, I thought I could get to number 2 and number 3 today, but we didn't. Anyway, for the rest of the week, we'll continue with the 5 models. So tomorrow I'll do model number 3. But today we did the 3 stages of wealth, team. And if you joined us today and you missed yesterday, some of you guys joining today, go back to yesterday's live and have a look at the property wealth system that we went through yesterday as well. So there you go. Hopefully that was useful. Many of you guys have seen this before, in one way, shape or form. Tomorrow we'll go through the 7 property wealth plans and how they fit into this stuff and make sure we get our heads around, the overall models and structures and plans when it comes to our longer term investment strategies. Yeah, Brendan, good question. Your investment properties should, over time, increase the rent as well, Brendan, right? So most of your properties you should be able to manage pretty easily with positive cash flow after tax, even with interest rates at 5%. Do the math on it because, and download the calculator. I mean, I did this a little while ago. When the interest rates go up on your investment properties, Brendan, you actually get more tax back. So it's much lower impact than interest rates going up on your owner-occupier property, okay? Listen, at an 88% loan-to-value ratio, most properties are still, positive cash flow after tax, Brendan. If you really wanted to tune it up a little bit and have a safety buffer in there, there's 2 things that can happen. Your rents would go up probably about $50 or $100. Once your rents go up, kind of between 15 and 20% from the purchase price, Brendan, it's all over Red Rover for you. Well, it's happy times, right? So good times. The property is going to be self-sustainable, and you build up a really nice buffer in the offset. Okay. If that's kind of bumping along a little bit and you're a bit concerned about it, yes, you could reduce the loan to value ratio. If the rents weren't going up, Brendan, you could reduce that loan to value ratio down a little bit, but don't go too far, mate, because when you pay off investment debt, there's no deductibility, and now you've just got all of that cash stuck. It's stuck there, and it's very difficult to get back out. But anyway, that's the overall concept. Sometimes, Brendan, you've just got to tweak individual properties sometimes. But the overall plan is, if you have non-deductible debt, the debt that doesn't give you any ability to earn income from it, or is not tax deductible, then that's the debt you got to get rid of quicker, because it's the one that's just destroying and eating your capacity. Yep. Hopefully that makes sense, mate. All good, all good, all good. Yes. Well, there you go. Anyway, Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. Tomorrow we'll do plan number 3 or model number 3, folks. Join me then. You guys be awesome, be well. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, this thing's a marathon, not a sprint, folks. And the only way to get there is to buy well and not sell. Not sell. Don't sell. Andy Fenton says sell strategically sometimes, but, that's okay too. Bye, team. All right, adios. I'm just rabbiting on now.